So Alberto, tell me a bit about Quinta de Seixo.
So Quinta do Seixo is actually a very old historical estate. There are historical records for more than 5 centuries ago.
Wow.
And it is indeed the house of Sandeman. It was a property that today is in the hands of Grape, which is a Portuguese-owned company. The company that was started in 1942 with a special wine called Mateus Rosé.
Okay.
And the wine itself is still considered the jewel of our crown, and it has allowed us to reach a global potential for our company that to this day has allowed us to keep our interest in many markets, more than 80 markets through the entirety of the world. And one of those examples is exactly Sandeman, one of the great houses for port production in the entirety of the world. And Sandeman was indeed purchased by our group in 2002. It has quite a bit of a long history.
So more than 200 years of history and heritage.
Correct. And to this day, the main focus is, of course, to bring the wines of this beautiful region to the entirety of the world. The Douro itself is not only beautiful, but a unique region in the world. And I think it's almost our job to be able to show people what we produce here from these beautiful vines and the wines and the friendship that they bring throughout the entirety of the world. So I think it's best that we go a bit into the vines to show you what we do here.
Let's head to the vines.
Right this way.
So Alberto, tell me, what grape is this?
This is actually Touriga Franca, the most planted variety in the Douro region. It is a very well structured, very well balanced variety that works in perfect uniformity and harmony with the other varieties like Quinta, Touriga Nacional. It is a great basis for many varieties. As any other red grape, as you can show, no color.
Look at this. So everyone thinks most red grapes are red, but actually the skin is red and the flesh itself is white. So you only get the color from pressing the skins.
Exactly.
Course. And the skins also, it gives a lot of structure, doesn't it? So
bit of structure, a bit of color, aromas, flavors, all of that is done during the cellar. And of course, the main work here, after treatments, after waiting for 1 year, is knowing when to pick them. When that balance, you have perfect levels of sugar, but also acidity and the other aromas and everything else that we want our wines to have. It's a bit of a balancing act.
Yes. And what time do you normally harvest?
So, as in another place in the world, it's always in autumn. Here it's based around September. We take about 1 month to harvest, and yes, it is all hand-picked. As you can imagine.
Because the slopes are really quite steep, aren't they? So no machinery can actually come here.
No machinery. And we're actually talking about this earlier. Touriga Nacional, one of the most famous varieties of the Portugal and the Douro. It is actually one that is quite infamous by the people that are picking the grapes. Because the bunches are not like this, that are quite big. They are small.
These are huge bunches, aren't they? I mean, let's have a look at these. They're
still not ready.
Yeah, they're
still not ready.
Big, though.
But
very flashy.
In comparison, Touriga Nacional would be something just like this and long, and there'd be about 10 to 15 bunches through vines. So, as you can imagine, picking by hand, Touriga Nacional is not really a fun grape in the vines. It's not.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain, though.
And let's also talk about the region, because we have 3 regions in the Douro Valley.
Correct.
So Baixo Corgo, Cima Corgo, and Douro Superior.
Exactly.
So tell us very quickly what the differences are. What type of grapes or what type of wine would we be getting? And why?
The main thing that changes in the 3 sub-regions is not the soil. It is the schist soil throughout. But it is indeed mostly the weather. So, in the beginning of Baixo Corgo, following the Douro River downstream, you have mountain ranges, the main one called Marão, that blocks the Atlantic winds from getting to us. So, what happens is that when we go from Baixo Corgo to Cima Corgo to Douro Superior upriver, you get less and less rainfall.
So it gets drier and hotter, which means intense flavors.
Exactly. More concentration, more power. The Baixo Corgo is renowned for one of the regions that is best for the production of white wines and rosés, exactly because you still get that freshness and humidity passing through the mountains. Here, Cima Corgo, perfect place for ports. concentration, power, intensity, everything we want.
Yes.
The Douro Superior by some is considered the best of both worlds.
Ooh,
Hotter,
much hotter.
drier,
Yes.
yes. But in the same sense, it also has much, much higher altitude.
Oh, that's how you can get the acidity. Or the
Exactly.
grapes would be overripe.
Exactly.
That
You could even
makes
get to the
sense.
point, to the extreme point that on the same estate, you have a very high top vineyard producing great acidity wines,
Yeah.
and the one on below
Yes.
with much higher concentration. So we try to achieve this balance in all of our wines.
Okay.
And indeed, here in Quinta do Seixo, we do have 78 hectares of vineyards planted. None of them are the same.
Okay.
We can get a bit higher up and still
Yes.
get that acidity lower down for the concentration and power. So our job is indeed to try and get that concentration and power in all of our wines. I actually have a special treat for you.
Oh, yes?
We have here, right about 20 meters that way, a favorite variety planted. So I can show you that.
Let's go check it out.
So this is actually a row of Touriga Nacional. First thing you'll notice is exactly the leaf shape is a bit different.
Oh yeah, look, it's merging in a little bit.
A bit more. That's one way that you can identify them, of course, from the other aspects. One of them is exactly that in comparison to Touriga Franca, that was already quite a bit more ripened.
Yes.
This one still isn't quite as ripened,
Yes.
but still it
I
is.
noticed. Look at the bunch size though. It's the shape. You
The
were
shape
telling
is
me.
different, and
It's
also
a
you
little bit
notice
longer.
it's a bit longer and also a bit smaller as well.
Yes, that's
but
very true.
that does not mean that it is bad in that sense.
No.
It's actually quite the opposite. It's almost like everybody has a bit of a different background to them,
Yes.
and they're a bit different as well.
Yes.
And Touriga Nacional is just like that. Similar, but quite different as well.
Different.
One
Would you
of the-
say that the grapes are cousins or completely not related to each other?
I would not say completely related to each other, simply because Touriga Nacional is well known and completely from Portugal, while Franca has some inheritance from other grape varieties from outside Portugal as well. And
Yes.
it is a
It
great
has more
ambassador.
seeds and it's
bit.
not as ripe yet.
Nope,
as
not
the,
quite. But also, you'll notice that it is normally a bit more, if during this time and during the next 2 to 3 weeks, it will maintain its acidity
Yeah.
quite high.
Oh.
And that's why it is so versatile. You can use it for rosés. Some people even use it for sparklings. Some people, of course, use it for ports, as we do.
Yes.
And as well, red, dry wines.
Yes.
So it is
Versatile grape. And it's also a grape variety that's been introduced into Bordeaux quite recently.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed, one of the newer ones in Bordeaux.
Yes.
And that has all to do with what we're feeling today, this very intense heat.
Yes.
It is a variety that is very versatile, it is adaptive, it is a variety that can withstand the heat that Bordeaux has been feeling throughout these older years.
Sure.
And Touriga Nacional has known a bit of heat in this region for quite
Yes.
some time.
Oh, should we go taste some wine now?
I think we should taste some
Yeah,
wine.
I think we should taste some wine. So, introduce me to what we have here,
So
Alberto.
we have very simple tasting. We like to keep them. We like to keep the tasting simple here in the Douro region. So we have a tasting of 3 excellent Porto wines and accompanying this of a cheese board with 3 traditional cheeses from.
So, what do we have from left to right in the cheese?
So this is called queijo do corvo, which is a goat cheese. This is azeitão, a more spreadable cheese that
that's
is.
some gooey look.
It is quite gooey, quite
whoopsie.
gooey.
Yeah.
It is more from the Lisbon region as well, and then this one is we call it queijo de ilha from the Azores.
Okay, so that's quite a nice.
So it's a bit more a bit more
Okay.
intense, a bit more hot, and also a jam we made with that. Sandeman also makes jam
Brilliant.
with our own grapes. So we
Okay,
also try to
so it's a bit of a
replicate
grape
that as well.
jam. That'll be my first.
Indeed, indeed.
Excellent. And what do we have in our glasses here?
In the glasses here, we have from left to right, we have
So-
the Founder's Reserve, a Ruby
That's
Porto.
Ruby.
Next, we have the 20-year-old Tawny Port from Sandeman, a classic, one of the most well-known wines of Sandeman. And at the end, the great star of the show, the King of Ports, the vintage port from 2019 from Quinta do Seixo. So a single
Lovely.
Quinta
So that's
vintage.
all from here, this particular
All of it.
single vineyard. Okay.
All of it, all of it.
Right, so let's start with the Founder's Reserve. So that's the Ruby Port.
That's a ruby port. So you notice that here in the middle we have quite a different color in the Tawny port compared to the other ones. And there's a very good reason for this. Ports are fortified, yes, so they mean that they are produced with an addition of alcohol that does not come from the fermentation itself. The main difference in these two families, they are both made from red grapes. However, the color and flavor and aroma profile is drastically different.
Okay.
In the ruby ports, you have a limited amount of aging, up to 5-6 years, and in a large wooden vat. This keeps the wine with its strong intensity, color, flavors and aromas of dark fruits, black fruits, spicy, some eucalyptus minty notes as well.
I'm getting all of those so far.
And here you get the slow aging for 10 years or more, always an average, in small wooden casks. So it's something that we call deliberate oxidation. Aging by oxidation, and the wine loses its typical ruby color from the beginning into this more golden amber color. And also the aromas and flavors, you'll notice that are drastically different. Here we have spices, we have caramel, we have almonds, toffee as well, indeed. And this is the type of port most appreciated and consumed by the Portuguese market. But as a tidbit, this is the most sold port in the entirety of the United States, the Founders Reserve.
Okay, let's try this. Let's try the Founders Reserve. So, quick swirl. Smell, I'm getting all those dark fruits, a bit of spice. It's quite intense as well.
Just a bit like the Dawn, mysterious.
Like the Dawn.
A bit of smokiness comes through.
Yes.
That's what made me fall in love with these ports.
Ooh, it's quite smooth though, isn't it?
Quite smooth. 5 years in average of aging.
Yes.
But you still have those rich tannins, that rich body for the wine. Fantastic to be paired with desserts.
Which
cheeses.
cheese would you pair with this particular one?
I would go for something more intense like the goat cheese.
Okay.
I would go for the goat cheese. These are wines with a lot of body that really shine with something more intense.
I don't normally like goat's cheese, but this is delicious. Really beautiful.
Well, it's good because it's my favorite, so there's some more for me.
And what is it called again? Does it have a particular name?
The cheese? Yes. Yeah. It's called Queijo do Corvo.
Queijo do Corvo.
Corvo.
Corvo. Okay. So then next is with the Tawny.
This is a 10-year-old Tawny port, yes.
And look at the color. I mean, it's so different. It's a lot paler. There's a browner rim.
Indeed. So here is what we call aging by oxidation.
Yes.
Completely. So wine that spends in average 10 years of aging, and it must show the colors, flavors, and aromas as any other characteristic of having aged for 10 years or more. So what we have is a classic style of Tawny port that maintains true to the image of the brand and of the family of port as well. One great thing about these ports, the Tawny ports, is that firstly you'll notice that we serve the wines chilled.
Yes.
Always.
Which is lovely because this is high alcohol, so of course it takes the edge off the alcohol.
And the sugar as well.
It increases the aromatic profile as well because it's a bit cooler. Otherwise, it would feel too heavy and intense.
Exactly.
And how cold do you do it? Because I sometimes use what I call the 20-20 rules. So if it's a white wine, you take it out 20 minutes before you're going to drink it. If it's a red wine, you put it in 20 minutes before you're going to drink it. How long do you keep port for?
That's a good way to do it. Personally, for myself, I prefer them colder as a personal reference. But indeed, they have serving temperatures. Tawnies range from anywhere to 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. Rubies 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. But yes, here is the typical digestive for the end of the meal. That's how we use it as well.
Which is perfect with cheese again. And which cheese would you pair with this particular Tawny?
I would go for something softer, maybe the azeitão.
Okay.
So as we have more of a mellow feel to the wine and also to the cheese as well. So I think they should pair very, very nicely.
Okay. That's so delicious.
And the thing about the Tawny is that they have this rich, long feeling.
That is such a nice pairing together.
It is also for the people that have sweet tooth that want to visit Portugal. Instead of the cheeses, go for the traditional Portuguese desserts, the egg custard tarts, things like that. They normally are excellent pairings one or the other.
And I suppose another tip, if you are sort of pairing food and wine, is have a sip of the wine first, then try the cheese, and then drink the wine again.
Indeed.
And that way you can really see how if you've paired it well, each flavour should enhance each other rather than fight.
Indeed.
So which I
indeed.
feel this really does absolutely beautifully.
Indeed.
And now for the last port. So this is a vintage.
So this
2019.
is 2019 harvest. This is a special type of vintage that we call single Quinta. So
Single Quinta.
all the grapes must come from the same estate. In this case, our very own Quinta de Seixo. These wines are a bit different from the others. It's actually curious, one of the laws of production of port makes it so that you have to age it for 3 years.
Okay.
The only exception is the vintage. Vintage is for 2.
2 years, and then the rest of the aging happens in the bottle, of course.
Exactly. And one of the things that you'll notice in difference is that while these ones have bar top corks, because you can just keep them, while this one here, it has a long
Proper cork, more like a wine bottle.
Exactly.
Because, of course, the cork allows the oxygen into the bottle, which then enhances the aging process.
Exactly.
I love the nose on this vintage.
This is rock rose,
Rock rose.
red fruits, black fruits.
There's also a slight bit of umami again. So, when I say umami, kind of slightly, not mushroomy, but, that sort of...
It might
Slightly
trend to that,
meaty, yeah.
indeed. So it is very, very young still. We're talking about a wine that it has been bottled since 2021. The aging potential of this wine goes for 25 years in the same bottle.
How do you know when to drink a vintage wine? When is it ready to drink? Or
It is a bit of a personal taste, I'd say. There's actually a saying that we use here that you have to age like port, the older the better. And that comes exactly from the vintage port.
Okay.
But it is personal preference. There are people who absolutely enjoy vintage port fresh off the bottle. And there are some people that just go for a vintage port with 50 years.
Okay.
Culturally, here in Portugal, it is the wine we offer to our children from the year that they are born, so that they can open it when they are 50 years of age. And they are wise and they can appreciate the wine.
Brilliant. So I suppose it's to try with the cheese over
The
here.
hardest and more intense cheese of them all. Exactly.
Nice bit of saltiness as well.
Indeed. And here we have the nice sugar component of the wine mellowing out the cheese, but also great complexity and persistence of flavors. And you'll notice that even though it has quite a body to it, as it is a young vintage, it's still very, 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 very mellow in the palate, and with the complexity and long-lasting finish persisting.
It's still
after.
going. Yeah.
It is.
Do you have a favorite, Alberto?
Out of these 3,
Yes.
for the way that you can enjoy the wine, I would say the Founder's Reserve. I think it's the most versatile of them all.
And that's the very first
The
one.
very first.
It's got an incredible nose on it.
It is. And I think it's a wine you can enjoy simple. You can enjoy it with cocktails, for example. We do one of those cocktails right here at Seixo as well. You can enjoy it at the beginning of the meal, at the end of the meal. It is an incredibly versatile wine, which is something that sometimes people overlook, but don't, because port can be versatile. Indeed, this has my heart, but I can only have it once in a year as want to keep it aging for a bit longer.
Sure. I suppose, if you were to ask me that question back, I would say all 3, because I think each one of them, it does something special, something different, something individual.
It is. Quite different from each other.
I really, really like. And I also like how the different cheeses match so nicely.
It is. We try to pair it and give people the example of how to use ports as well.
Yes.
And not everybody is a sweet tooth, so we try to serve a bit of cheeses as well with people that come and visit us. Yeah.
Definitely. No, thank you so much, Alberto. Thank you for taking us around the vineyard,
the pleasure
showing
was all
us
mine.
how port is made, talking about the heritage and the gorgeous views, and of course taking me to my favorite vineyard vines
The vines of Touriga Nacional.
Touriga Nacional.
Indeed.
And also discovering, so many of the other vines that you grow here. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hope you ever come back to the Douro again, and we can next maybe see Quinta Roriz.
Yes,
for the next
I'll have to rub the Sandeman's head, because I did rub it once, so I'm back here a second time. So I'll have to go
Just
back
for a bit
and
of
rub
good luck.
it. Absolutely.
You're more than allowed to do it.
Thank you. So,
Cheers.
thank you. What a special day. You know, some days you don't want a day to end.